International Women's Day. So women that have inspired me, there's lots of amazing local women, I think, that I've had since I've been on council. I've had the chance to meet. There's an amazing woman in Healesville called Bev Schmolling. And Bev was someone who fought really long and hard and led this community campaign to get extra equipment in the hospital. So Bev, just someone who had decided through family issues and everyone having to travel down the line to get medical help. And Bev was so persistent, and finally, about 4 years later, we actually got dialysis equipment having at Healesville Hospital. So she really stands out because I just think, she just stood up for an issue in the community and just persistent, wrote letters to members of Parliament and council, and was part of a Save the Healesville Hospital group. So that's one that stands out for me. What about you?
Well, I've got another Bev that I have in mind, actually. Yeah. Although she was known as Dawn, but Beverly Dawn Wallace, and she's actually my mother-in-law. And I've found out a bit more about her, that she actually owned a building company in Yarra Ranges in the late 70s and 80s. So that was a pretty, mean feat to achieve back then. And she built over, I think, 200 houses during that time, and unfortunately fell victim to the recession. But, she's built so many huge houses, and she took pride in first homeowners, having the home of their dreams and all that too. And to boot, she had 6 kids. Wow. So I'd take my hat off to Beverly Dawn. I think that's an amazing achievement.
To talk about 2 women who formed a group in the Hills. The group was Mums of the Hills, or Moths as they're known. And Alyssa McKay, here's their book. And what they did is Alyssa McKay would do these media updates during COVID when everyone was in lockdown, and people would go and read them, and they were her wit and her humour, it just made everybody feel really great and kept them up to date with what was going on. And there's a whole community around the Mothers of the Hills, and Belinda Young as well is another founder. And this book, they put together this beautiful book, and it's just about the community of the women that they supported in the Hills during lockdown. And it was just, I don't know, it was just really inspiring to me.
I can't believe she wrote a whole book.
I know.
When I saw the finished product, I was like, I was reading them every day, but I was that was a whole book, and everyone so well researched, so incredible.
So Alyssa McKay and Belinda Young, I think, are 2 very inspiring women, especially last year for Mums of the Hills. So it was just fantastic.
That's a great story. What about you, Jo?
Oh, well, like you said, the long list, it's a lot of pressure to choose one person.
You don't have to choose just one. But
that's true. Okay, well, the first person that did come to mind when I thought about inspirational, significant women, especially thinking in the Hills kind of area, was someone who's actually moved away in the last few years, but Vicky Boyle, who, a lot of people who live sort of around Belgrade will know her, because as soon as I moved out there, I just kept seeing this person everywhere I go. It would be, the Mini Beast Festival, and she'd be there going, yes, I organised this, I'm on the committee for this, and, here's the tap, and just knew everything. And then, you'd be down at the dog park, and she'd be in the weeding committee, and, hello, Vicky again, and always with her dog, and I think her dog's name was Henry, like just such a team. And then you go to the market, and she'd be there handing out, things for the kids that would foster environmental stewardship. She would run, and just one of those solid people, do it anyway, knowing that there's value in it, even though it won't last. You won't get your name on a plaque. You won't get, any kind of significance of that old-fashioned kind, but I just think, they're the gems, for me, people like that.
Backbones of our community.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually brings to mind another lady that I think very highly of and fondly, and have often thought when I grow up I want to be like her. And that was Maggie Lloyd Smith from Yarra Glen. I think I was having a chat to Fee the other day. And, you know, it wasn't about notoriety for her, but she was such a solid community member. She pioneered the first girls football team at Yarra Glen at the age of 73, pocket rocket, and did the garden at the Yarra Glen Police Station, CFA volunteers, Stills Creek Gardening Club. You know, she just invested in her community, and her husband too, and they were such well-known figures, and it was just for the love of the community, you know, and believing in her worth and her value too. So, I do miss her.
We lost a couple of amazing women in Yarra Ranges last year. So Auntie Dot Peters,
Yes.
who, again, I had the great pleasure of being on a board with her, but just again, someone who her whole life stood up for what she believed in, and she was the instigator of getting a special commemorative day for Indigenous soldiers. So, you know, what an incredible achievement.
I'm glad you mentioned Auntie Dot, because the Balut Bagaruk was launching on International Women's Day, and their book, and it has Indigenous women from the Yarra Ranges, so it's specifically with that local focus, and outlines a lot of women who've just had such an impact, all different, you know, walks of life. So
so we're pretty lucky. We're surrounded by amazing women, I think, aren't we, in the Yarra Ranges?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very inspirational.
When I moved out here and realised how long the commute was, like, you know, I had a partner that was working in the city, and I mean, I was working in the city at that point, but and it would, you know, especially when I had a kid, and it would be about 7:30 when he would get home, and I thought, I wonder what that does to a place when, you know, and I guess we're coming from that background of it being generally women who are doing the primary caring, and people who live a long way from potentially where they work and have over time, you know, and I just thought, and something that stuck out is, like we do, I don't know, I feel like there is this culture of women who've started organisations like Selby Community House, started by a woman, you know, there's all these things that you think, like, you know, play groups, and like the play group I'm in was a bunch of women who took a council building and said, can we renovate this? And literally did it themselves. Started a playgroup, still going 35 years later, and I'm in this, you know, legacy, I'm living in the legacy of women who've just got it done, like, you know, and I just think...
and now you're one of them too. I've always been one of them, but, you know, you put your hand up.
But it was...
And that's it, putting your hand up. It's no secret that... I think most of us ran because there was an imbalance of gender on the council. And, you know, we have all put our hand up, and it hasn't been easy to be front and centre. Us and all the other female candidates that ran for council, it's so important, like, that people stand up. It's hard. It can be, you know, absolutely brutal, but it's really important that we...
Fiona wasn't alone on the island.
She's not alone anymore. I think it's really important.
Yeah,
and I'm very pleased to be, amongst 3 powerful community-minded leaders.